Welcome back. In this session we shall discuss about respiratory quotient and respiratory exchange ratio, right? Now what is respiratory quotient? Respiratory quotient is defined as the ratio between rate of CO2 output and rate of O2 uptake, okay, at cellular levels, right? So then what is respiratory exchange ratio? This is pretty much the same, but the difference is that the respiratory exchange ratio is calculated by measuring the expelled gas at nose or mouth, right? Ordinarily it is very difficult to calculate measure the respiratory quotient, okay, because all the events are taking place at the cellular level. Now if we measure the respiratory exchange ratio for a period of 1 hour or more, okay, we will find out that it is almost exactly equal to the respiratory quotient of all the metabolic systems in the body, right? So in a way, respiratory exchange ratio is a means to calculate respiratory quotient, okay. So there is only very minor difference. So these two are, the respiratory quotient and respiratory exchange ratio, are pretty much interchangeable, right? So how do we calculate the respiratory exchange ratio, which is represented by the letter R, okay. This is rate of CO2 output by O2 uptake, right? So normally we know that about 100 ml of blood, okay, delivers approximately 4 ml of CO2 from the tissues to lungs, right? So 4 ml, right, approximately 4 ml. Similarly 100 ml of blood, okay, delivers approximately 5 ml of O2 to cells, okay. So 5 ml approximately, so we get a value of 0.82, okay. So remember, these are approximate values, not exact values as 4 and 5. So we get R of 0.82. A valid measurement of R requires that the gases which are expelled in the expired air, they appear there at the same rate at which they are produced by the metabolism in the cells, okay. Only then we can get a correct value of R, okay. Also the breathing has to be normal, right? If a person overbreathes, okay, then more amount of carbon dioxide would be expelled, okay, increased amount of carbon dioxide would be expelled. Then in this case we will get a false high value, false high R, right? If the person breathes too shallow, okay, too shallow breathing, then what happens? The amount of CO2 expelled would be less, okay. So this will be less. As a result, we will get a false low R value, okay. So the breathing has to be normal. It should not be over breathing, or it should not be too shallow for the R value to be correct, right? Now when we calculate the R value, okay, for carbohydrates, okay, when the body is only using carbohydrates for fuel, then we get an R value of 1, okay. So if it is using fats, if the body is metabolizing only fats for energy, then we get an R value of 0.7. Similarly for proteins we get an R value of 0.8, right? If we calculate R value for a balanced diet, when all three, carbohydrates, proteins and fats, all three are being utilized for energy, then we get an R value of 0.825, okay, right. So these are all the values we get for different foodstuff metabolism. So now we know that for carbohydrate the R value is 1, fat it is 0.7, proteins 0.8. Now why is this difference? This is because for each molecule of oxygen utilized by carbohydrates, okay, one molecule of carbon dioxide is formed. Okay, so R is equal to CO2 of output by O2 uptake, right? So 1 by 1 is equal to 1, simple. So for fats and proteins, what happens? These foodstuff have excess H plus ion. They release excess H plus ion during oxidation. So a portion of oxygen, okay, is used to combine with this H plus, okay, to form water. Okay, therefore for each 10 oxygen molecules used by fats, okay, 7 carbon dioxide molecules are formed, right? So similarly for each 10 oxygen molecules used by protein, 8 carbon dioxide molecules are formed. Okay, that's why the values are 0.7 and 0.8. Extensive research in the field of respiratory quotient has yielded us some valuable findings. Okay, one is that immediately following a meal, okay, immediately after a meal, we find out that R is 1, right? This is because immediately after a meal, carbohydrates are exclusively utilized for fuel, right? About 8 to 10 hours after a meal, okay, what happens? Now most of the carbohydrate is already used up for energy. Now at this time fats are used for energy, right? They are oxidized for energy. So at this time we get an R value of 0.7, right? Another finding is that in uncontrolled diabetes mellitus, okay, we have either lack of insulin, right? Lack of insulin, or insulin is present and there is resistance to insulin function, right? So because insulin is necessary for the cells to uptake glucose, in diabetes mellitus glucose uptake cannot take place. So what happens? Now body utilizes fat, okay, for energy. So you will get an R value similar to what it will be for fat, that is 0.7, right? If the values are somewhere between 0.7 to 1, then this means that varying amounts of carbohydrate and fats are utilized for energy consumption depending upon the value, right? So if the value is less, fats are more used for energy. If the value is closer to 1, then carbohydrates are used for energy, right? So what is the physiological significance of calculating RQ? The physiological significance is that by calculating RQ, we can estimate the amount of usage of fat and carbohydrate by the body for energy production, right?